All right. Shake your heads if you can see my screen. Great. Good. Love when technology works. So I am just at the landing page of Clarity, and I'm going to go into Paragon. And the first thing we're going to talk about is some search tips. Let me close that screen. So I'm going to go to search residential. And I do have an outline that I uploaded, but I can email it to you guys if you're interested. I don't have instruction sheets, but I am recording this, so hopefully I can upload it and then you guys can look at it later as well too. So the first thing is your order and your information on this screen may look different than mine because this is entirely customizable. So you've got, forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. You've got options in what we call the primary criteria. Then if you scroll down, you have things in secondary criteria, and you have things in advanced. It is your choice where these things appear and if they appear at all. Okay, so you get to pick what order you want them in. The first thing I have, if you have it on your screen on your thing, is Originating MLS. I just highlighted it. Yours may be someplace else, etc. When you're searching for properties for your buyer, do not fill this in. The reason that's important is we are a 4-member association in this MLS system. And someone who is in Galesburg could be a member of the Capital Association, but lists something in Peoria. You know, so you could be eliminating a property for your buyer or for your seller as a comp if you use Originating MLS. So if you ever put that in there, it should be used very carefully because, again, you might miss a property there. The next thing is about customizing the fields. So you're going to see up here, customize, and then fields. This is where you get to decide what's in primary. See the primary word right here? What's in secondary and what's in advanced. So one of the things I'm going to go to secondary that I have that I look for a lot that I should have in my advanced is subdivision, because I use that more often, high school district, and sometimes number of cars. Okay, so I'm going to remove those from my secondary criteria. I'm going to hit remove. I'm going to go back to my primary and find over here subdivision. So now I can add it because I'm in primary criteria. I can add it to my primary criteria. And I can change the order. So it's way down here. I can move it wherever I want it to appear on this list. And I can keep moving it up. Okay. I never search by zip code, so I'm going to remove that one. I never search by that, so I'm going to remove that one. So you have a choice again on where order you want them in based on this and what field you want to appear. Okay. I'm going to stop there so I don't keep, I don't have to keep going into a whole bunch. That's the theory for whatever it is of where do I want that information to appear. So once I have that, I'm going to hit apply and save. I'm going to do, hold on. Yep. I'm going to save this as my residential search, and I want it as my default search. but I don't want any criteria values. I don't want anything, and I don't have any filled in. It may give me an error that I already have one saved with that, so we're going to see. Yep, so I'm just going to name it something else, residential search, and save. Yes. So if I close this, so if you notice, I put subdivision right here, and it was before down in my secondary criteria. I'm going to close this search out. If I did it correctly, hopefully, I'm going to hit search residential. And the layout that I picked, it's still right there. Because this is my default. I can change something on the fly for one particular search. Let's say I'm going to customize a field that I don't normally use, because all kinds of available fields. Here's, let's say, fireplaces, for instance. I'm just going to add it and apply. It'll be just added for this one search, but I don't need to have it for every one. You know, because very rarely will I probably search by fireplaces, but that's totally up to you. And that's why your screen will look different than my screen. So you need to have that. So any questions on changing the layout? If you do, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Watching for raised hands. Nobody? Okay, good. All right. The next one is saving with criteria values, and this would be for repeated searches. So if I am always doing a search in a certain area, so I'm going to hit that I want to check solds, and I know there's other ways, pendings, and I want, well, probably this isn't going to work. I'm going to change the solds out of here because that's going to mess up my thing. We're just going to do pendings, new pendings, because I really want to get a feel for the market on a regular basis. And I would say new pendings, we're going to say in Morton, for instance. Okay. So anything that's in pending status in Morton. So now I'm going to save this search as when it comes up eventually. I'm going to save it as Morton pendings. I am not going to set as my default, but I'm going to save the criteria values, what I put in there, that pending status or anything else that you might put in. And I'm going to hit save. So once I have that saved, I'm going to close out of here again as if I'm just coming into the system. I'm going to hit search residential. And I'm going to go load search. Over here to the left, you should have a load search button. I hit load search, and I should be able to find in this list of all my saved searches, Morton pendings, and it's right here. So I'm going to click on Morton pendings. Come on. I just double clicked on that. It's now in there and my search is run. If I had more criteria in there, it would load that as well. Also, if you have done a search before and you say, I want to do that same search over, you can go just to last search and it's going to show you several of your last searches. So I'm going to go down here, this one, this closing one, I just click on it and now it's loaded all that criteria from that particular search that I did. Okay. Let's find Renee. Hold on. Okay, Renee, your question?
So you have on yours not just a closing date, but you have an expire date?
Yes.
Do we have that availability to add that, or is that a different level of?
Nope, you have that ability.
Explain how we would use that.
So here's a great example how to use that. A lot of people, not a lot, but there are quite a few people who decide mid-November, I don't want to deal with showings over the winter, you know, over the holidays, something like that, or I want it off for 90 days. They tell their agent that maybe they might consider relisting with them, but maybe not. So if I change this, let me clear everything out of here. I'll leave that in here. Once I change the status to expired, now that date will fill in.
Oh.
I can't search expireds on actives or pendings or anything else, only on expired listings.
I did not know that. Okay.
So in your customize fields, so if I go to customize fields, if I just type in here date, then it gives you all different kinds of date things, and your expiration date should be in this list.
Okay.
Same thing as if you notice here, see how closing date is grayed out?
Yep.
I'm going to take expired out. It's going to turn that to gray. If I change the status now to sold, now I can put something in the closing date. It won't let you put anything in those fields unless your status is something like that you're going to search.
And you can't search.
I can't search what?
Sold.
You can search multiple things, but I wouldn't want to search expireds and sold at the same time. They won't come up. I mean, because you're trying to say they're in both that categories. You could try it, but yeah.
Time. It's this.
You're cutting in and out for some reason.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, it said my
thank
internet
you.
connection's unstable. Not you, huh? Just
Oh,
popped
okay.
up. Any other questions on that? Was that helpful? Yeah, thumbs up.
John says, yeah, I didn't know that either. I just didn't, I didn't know that I could put an expired date in there.
Yay, I always
So I
love it
learned something.
when you know, if it's even one or two things that somebody picks up on. And again, the whole layout, and I used to have mine, and then they updated stuff with a new system. I haven't spent a lot of time in here, but narrow this down to the ones that you're going to use a lot. Something I just forgot about that's on here that I should have added, so we're going to go over it now. I'm going to add a note on here, is multiple addresses.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to mute you back again. So I have a field here that says multiple addresses. So a buyer tells you they saw a house or they saw a couple different houses, and you could give a range of where they are and a street name. So let's say, and I don't even know if anything will come up because I'm just guessing right now, between 100 and 200 Main. And then I want to search between 400 and 500 Main. So I can now hit search, and I didn't put any status in and something like that. So it's going to bring up any of those in those ranges. So you have, but if normally on that criteria, a buyer would give you possibly an address, and this is where you could search for all of them at the same time. So if I had a list of multiple addresses, I could pull them all up at once versus putting each address in individually. So let me go look some up and demonstrate that real quick. Hold on. I need to move you guys to the side over here. If I move you to the left, do you guys, your screen move to the left, or you can have your control? Don't know. Okay. So I'm going to write some down here real quick. 1223 East Melbourne. 228 North Gale. Okay, so we'll do a real life type scenario here. Except these are going to be fakes, and the ones I gave you are giving you, no buyer would pick all three of these. But so I'm going to say I want 12, 23 East Melbourne. And the reason I'm putting the same address in both of them is I only want to look at that one house. 3228, 3228 North Gale. Oops, if I could type. And 66 East Birch. And I'm going to save. Don't know why it's still saying 11, but we'll see. It should only bring up those three. Oh, you know what? Is because it had different statuses in there. So it's bringing up all of them and all their statuses that they've been. So if I click this by address, you'll see Birch is only on there once because it's active. Gale, you can see it was active, expired, sold, etc., all at once. So you'd probably, if a buyer says, I'm interested in these, I'm going to go back to my criteria, you might make your status as active, maybe pending in case they don't know it's pending. And now I'm down to just 3 properties. So I'm going to unmute you all for a minute. How many have used the multiple address search before?
I have.
Renee? You have, John?
Yep.
Good. Anybody else? Karen, is that new to you?
No, I'd used it. I don't use it very often, but I did know it was available.
It's just an easy way. If a buyer gives you a string of several addresses to pull them all up at once, versus your other option is on your home page to put in one, but you only can put in one at a time. Your power search, you can put in more, but that makes it a little bit harder. So remember your power search as well too, of adding, but usually I do it by MLS number up there, but you can put an address in that power search as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna mute you again. The other one want to look at, if I go back to search and residential, is using the map search. So in my criteria, there is search by map. If you don't have that, make sure you add that to your search. Okay. I'm going to now click on the world over here. And if it loads, it's going to bring up a map, and it's usually positioned where your office is. So there's our office right here. And we can draw our own areas. So if I want to search, I'll just bring this down here. I want to search this area right here. I'm going to then go to my drawing tools and go to a polygon. I think that's, to me, it's the best one to use. So I'm going to click on it, click on my starting point, draw over to here, click down to here, click over to here, and click up to here. And there's my map that I want to include. If I click back on criteria, you'll see that shape now is in my search by map field. So I can now say I only want to look at actives and solds or pendings in that particular area. And then I'm going to take my solds back just to a year so I don't have too many. Okay. But let's say there's one part of that, I'm going to go back to my map search, that I think is valued less. So if I think this area right here that backs up to War Memorial, and I'm just making this up, remember, just to show you this. I'm going to go back to draw my polygon, and I'm going to draw over this map to this area. Okay. So when I go and hit edit, I've got two different polygons. I'm going to click on this. Oops, I don't want to hide that shape. I want to exclude, wrong one. I want to exclude the little one. See the red now? So I can search this whole area except for right this street. Or if you pulled in a subdivision, no, that's part of a subdivision, but they don't want to live right there. You could exclude that area from your search. So if I want to remove this polygon, I'm going to take that one off. Go back to my criteria. I'm going to take my first shape off. I just have my shape 2. But I want to put in a subdivision. I could do that. So let's say Stratford Air. So I'm going to search. It gives me all of these, but it shouldn't include anything in that area here that I didn't want to have included. Okay. So that's how you can use the maps. One of the ways you can use a map search. So I'm going to go back and to my criteria and clear it all out. We're going to go back to map search again. And we're going to look at some other options in here. So one of which, if you see these layers right here, that's what that stands for. This layer map right there. You can look at other boundary lines. So if I want to look at something like cities, for instance, and click on that, and scroll out, see how it's drawing the lines around the cities? If I take that out and put in county, then I've got county lines. So now you can see Woodford County, Peoria County, or Tazewell County, sorry, Peoria County, Knox. You can see all the different county lines. You can do it for neighborhoods, for zip codes, other things like that. So how many for you was that new to you? I unmuted you all.
It was for me. I don't know.
Yep, that's
Cheryl,
new.
what's the difference between neighborhoods and subdivisions?
I think the neighborhoods are subdivisions.
Okay.
So I'll click on that real quick. But you have to start really zooming in to see them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't know if they're by the subdivision record because they're, you know, just little bitty, but there's no labels on them. guess if I click on it, it gives me some information there.
Hmm.
Okay. So I didn't use that one as much.
Okay.
The other one that's down here is this PAR legacy areas. So this only really applies to those of you who have been in the business a long time and you're used to those old area maps. You can click on PAR legacy areas. It's loading the results. Please wait. That's where I need my Jeopardy music. All right. I'm gonna uncheck that because I didn't mean to check that. So now you can see those drawn out.
Mhm.
So Christine, who you weren't here before, but especially Peoria was drawn into this old grid system that people were used to putting areas down for. And we eliminated that when we did the regional. But there were some diehards that weren't happy with us. So Paragon was able to have the system that we could draw these maps. So Shane hand drew these out and saved these. So if you want to search by area 1, and I click on that, that is now part of my search criteria.
Hey, Jay. Are you 3221?
Hold on, let me mute you guys. So it's down here checked on this side as area 1. If I click on another area, then it's going to include that area as well. Okay. You also have your option, let me clear those out, maybe. I should have put in some other criteria because it's loading way too many. I'm gonna uncheck that and get rid of them. It's taking a long time. Okay. Come on. Okay. You also have the ability to draw your own and save them. So if I go back to this layers, you'll see one that I drew a long time ago called Area 3. But now that they have the others, I don't know that I would use that a lot and save those. If someone has a reason they want to do that, let me know and we can play around with that some more. Okay, let me unmute you. Any questions at all about drawing maps and using that in your search? No? Okay. We'll close that. So now I'm going to go to home and I'm just going to click on new listings just to bring up a list of properties. And you're going to see all these new listings and all that market monitor is up to you of what you see displayed or not. So if you only want to see a certain town or you want to see whatever, you control that in your preferences of what you see on a regular basis. This is one, if you want to see our whole sort of market, that you might want to say, I want it just to be in PAR. But again, you could miss something if you're relying on this as a neighborhood of what's happening. Okay. So when I pull up some listings to send, and I'll go down here to some nicer ones, doesn't matter, but I'll just pick these 3. I'm going to hit check because those are the only ones I want to look at. So one of the ways is by email. And if you notice already by default, I've got it set to client full report. That is a report you should be emailing out of the system when you send to buyers or sellers as a client full report. I'm going to cancel this. I see Renee raised her hand. Just a second, Renee. Yes.
Mine populates as agent. Where do I change that at to client full?
Okay, I will show you that. Good question. I'm going to show everybody what it looks like, and then I'll switch to show you where to do it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go over here to reports and details and client full report. And one of the choices you're going to see in those client reports is a RTU client full, and I'm going to get rid of that one. The reason why is we keep updating things in this, and I can't keep that updated, and PAR was able to make this one just as nice as we had to include your information. So if you have your photo in the system, if you allow your phone number to be attached, and you will have our logo in your profile, all that's going to auto-populate. If you switch yours to client full and you don't see that, then it's in your preferences. So since you asked that question, I'll go there now. So under preferences and user is where then you'll pick the office logo, your image, if you need to update that. Under system preferences is where you'll do that market monitor filter and what you want to see in that daily market monitor. In your result options, this is where you change what you email. So if I double click on one of those listings, I'm going to go back here to that market monitor and change this to the spreadsheet. If I double click on that, it's going to bring me up the agent full report. And that's because that's what I have here in this preferences on double click. To email, I have it selected client full report. That's how it'll automatically default to that. You don't have to pick a different report each time. See some heads nodding. Woohoo! Yay! Scroll down here. This is a setting of display your phone number that needs to be checked. And what phone number, what preferred number do you want to display? So that also carries over to this agent full report. So we no longer have a phone field separate than the agent name. So if you see listing agent, the phone number is right there because we don't have enough space to put everything in here anymore. So that's how we solve that. So if you see someone missing a phone number here, it's because they haven't put this preferences in. See some heads nodding? Okay. So a lot of these would be different things that you're going to want to change on some of your results. Okay, in that preferences section. I'll unmute you all and see if anybody else has any other questions on that. Helpful? Hopefully. Okay. We'll get out of preferences. And go back to this listing. I'm going to go back to my default spreadsheet because I only want one of these checked right now. So I've got this listing and my buyer is a texter and I want to tell them about this house immediately. I'm on the system, I see it, and I want to tell them about it right now. I can click share text. So if you have them in your contacts, you can search your contacts to send. They'll find me. I might be under Whitehurst. I'm in here way too many times that I've been playing around. I'll try that one. Yeah, so when I brought me up, then it said, here's where I want to send it to. I'm going to check this personal cell number because I have that information in that contact, and I'm going to hit send message. And then up here, I don't know if you saw it, it popped up in green, message sent. I'm going to try something. I usually have this set ahead of time, but I'm going to try to see if I can share my phone screen. Let's see if the text came in yet. It has not, unfortunately. Maybe I'll wait till it comes back. So when it comes back, I'll try to share my phone screen if I see it come in to show you what it looks like as a text. So that's a fairly new feature that you can text a listing out of the system. Let me unmute you all. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, I had one.
Okay.
I was trying to put it in chat. Can we set up clients that we have in contacts to get texts instead of emails?
I don't believe so on the automatic notifications.
Okay.
We can try one, but I don't think so. I think it's only email. Okay. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is the Collab Center. So I'm going to show you the Collab Center. I can't really show you how to set it up, but I can show you the results of it. And then if you want to, I've got some information that I can share with you on how to set that up. So I'm going to go to my contacts and view manage contacts. And I'm going to search for one of my buyers. And you'll see now under site, it says view. And that's because this buyer is set up with a Collab Center versus a regular type search. When I click on view, it's going to bring me to that Collab Center. I do have that music saved somewhere. So you can see for this particular customer, let me minimize my screen a little bit. They've undecided on one, they have favorited one, they've rejected 10 properties. So I can see what they have done. There's also a way for you as an agent to recommend a property to them as well, that it would show up under recommended. But then these are all the properties that they still have in here, you know, that are under the active. These are updates that just came. If I want to look at the favorite one, if I click on the tab, it'll tell me what they favorited, but unfortunately that's sold, but it gives me a good idea of what style, what one they remember, what one they really liked, and that type of thing. Okay. That just brings up where they have then that control to go in and mark these, and they can come back and look at favorites and stuff. What properties did they favor, and see changes that have happened to those particular listings. Okay. Hold on. Let me minimize this a little bit. You guys are covering up my screen. All right, go back here. I'm going to close that. So if I pull up that particular buyer, there's where I can go to agent recommended, and you could add a listing. So if there's a specific listing that you want to recommend to them, you can put in that MLS ID and it'd show up in that agent recommended field. And that's how you add them. The other one side of Collab Center is for your sellers. So if I go back to view manage contacts, this is my listing over here on Invert. I can view their site. And this is what they'll see as a seller. I gotta go to sell. They're in a buyer too, so I had the wrong tab open. So there's a seller side of things. It's had 372 listing views. It's been on the market 99 days, and according to this, had one open house. There were two, so I'm not sure why the other one isn't showing up. You can see the different views. So in the last 14 days, by real estate agents, prospective buyers. I can change this to the last 30 days, or they can even. So you'll notice, and I noticed this the other day, is see how it was not much happening, and now all of a sudden, weird, in this pandemic, I'm getting more views. Renee?
Where does this populate from? Off of MLS only?
Yes.
So if they have, somebody would have to have a search set up. An agent would have a search set up, send it to their buyers in Collab Center, and then that's what's pulling this.
Correct.
So you have the agent looking at it, but the agent doesn't necessarily, it could be like if I didn't have a Collab Center, like if I just went and looked at your property, it's going to be under the purple mark.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Agent activity is important too.
Right.
So then if I scroll down, this gives it, it interfaces now the showing time activity, the buyer's prospective activity, once possible, marked as rejected, undecided. And then again, a summary of the views. And it was one recommended by one agent. Okay. That just shows some social activity. But you can set this up to send this to them on a regular basis. So again, I have instruction sheets, and one of the places that I would say to go is in the help center of Paragon. So if I go to Paragon, and let me move you guys because you're in my way. There's a help button up here. If I click on help, it's going to bring up another screen. And there's a whole tab about Collab Center. So if you click on that, it's going to tell you some things about the buy side. And then somewhere there about the sell side. So I'm going to try something I haven't done before. I'm going to launch a poll that you guys should see that I'd like you to answer. While you're doing that, I'm going to unmute you. Can you see the results coming in?
No.
I don't
Yeah,
think
the
so.
one I was at, let me try to see if I can. See if this works. Can you see it now? No? Darn. Well, when I was on a call, they showed it, and I don't know how they showed the results on there. So all 6 of you voted. So 50% of it, you said yes, you're using Collab Center for your buyers. I would like that to be eventually sometimes 100%. 17% said no, but 2 of you said you'll start. Some of you will start, maybe our Christine, who's new. And the same thing for the sellers, only 1 is using it. But I find my sellers like that regular notice of what's going on, and we can never over communicate. And I get a copy of it myself by email as well. Okay. All right, we're going to end that polling. Oh, here. Now can you see the results?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Because after I hit share results, then you can see them. Cool. You let me learn a new trick today.
Yay.
All right. A couple more things. Let me get out of here, out of the help area. And this one, unfortunately, I'm not going to have a ton to tell you on because I'm trying to learn it myself. I was on a webinar with Black Knight, which is the main company that runs our Paragon system. And they talked about watching a property. And then I emailed support. They didn't know what I was talking about for sure and told me to get to somebody else. And I just didn't have time to do that, unfortunately. But I'm going to do a search residential. And right now I'll say active, but I'm going to put in a subdivision. Where'd I put it? I moved it on myself, so I don't know where it is. I'll put in my subdivision. Just thinking. Zero. What do I have in there? There should be solds in there at some point in time. All right, let's try a different one. I'll put in Lyndhurst. Oh, yeah, I knew there should be a lot. We're just going to go and put actives to narrow that down. And I'm going to hit search. But then I'm going to change my view to the Google map. So I'm not as interested in these active listings. I actually want to keep an eye on and watch another property. So if I click on any of these parcels here, one of these is my aunt's house. I'll just click on this one. Do you see where it says watch property over here now?
Mm-hmm.
I can click watch property. And if I go now under tax, the top tax tab, here's my property watch. So here are the properties that I'm watching. And if there are any results, you go to my property watch alerts. Now these alerts are for, from what I understand, liens and other things like that placed on them. But I'm going to find out more and I'll send it to you. But it also tells you a little bit about here, potential to list over here. This one on Lyndhurst says high. Estimated value. Owner occupied, yes. REO, no. So it's a high, for whatever algorithms they have in place, they have it as it's a high potential that it could be a listing. So again, I tried to search the help thing more about Property Watch to bring you more details, and I could not find it under there. All I have in my notes is it has some intelligent analytics, gives home buyers and sellers info without leaving the system, and Property Watch lien alert. But anyway, we'll see what what more I can find out about it, but I thought it's interesting.
Cheryl,
Yes.
can you watch more than one property at a time?
Yeah, I've got 3 listed here right now.
Oh, okay, that's what, okay.
Yep. Yep. Once you put them in here, they're here.
Does it work in all counties?
Yes.
Cool.
I can put in, I'll go back here and do a search, but you have to start with the search function and bring it up by map. So what's a subdivision in your area, Karen?
I live in Devonshire.
Well, he didn't
Is it
say.
Devonshire or Devonshire Estates?
Estates.
Once the search comes up, I just need to change the report view to Google Map.
Can I ask you a question?
Then it's going to bring up all these parcels.
I don't represent.
If I click on one of these,
Ireland.
there it's the watch property.
Right.
Okay.
And it's saving it by the address, not by something we name it, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
there's the address right up there. So now
Yep.
if I go to tax and my property watch, it's listed here. And that particular one gives me my last sale date,
Oh,
the medium, proximate,
Right.
you know, that they might list, estimated loan to value ratio, et cetera.
The sellers.
that was done at time. of
Okay.
listing.
Let me mute everybody except for, I will unmute Renee, your question?
When you get the alert on something that happens, how do you get that? Email?
That's a good question. I wish I knew the answer.
Okay.
It's that I was just on this webinar and I was hoping in the help guide they'd have a whole thing about it before this class, and they didn't. So I will find out. Let me write down, I gotta remember who all was in this class, so.
And then while you're writing that down, my other question is, so let's say during this time of shutdown, you know, we've had, you know, like I've talked to 3 different potential listings. And if I'm in the running and being possibly an interviewed person, agent, would this be a way that I could watch the property to make sure that I didn't lose the listing? Would it show it as, or do I need to be doing that a different way?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna show you that until it's listed, maybe, and then it's too late.
Right, then I'm done, right.
Yeah, so I would, the thing to try on that is the first app, because it's giving you some things this person might be more likely to list. I got my first alert that I lost a listing of someone who was in my contacts from that first app. So I only did it just to play with it. I'm not probably going to keep it, but you guys are in a different position than I am.
There just seems like there's so many technical apps and this and that, and it's like it was one more thing. I got so much other cleaning up to do. I didn't even want to mess with it, and that's why that's why I just wasn't. But
and you don't have to. It's just know that it's there.
yeah.
Okay, one last thing that we're going to cover is the virtual open house. So if I go to tour and open house, that's not where I want to go. Hold on. That's searching for it. I go to listings and I'm going to maintain my listing. And over here under action, I'm going to add or edit an open house. See where that is? So I'll hit add new. And if it's going to be virtual, I'm going to put live stream. So the option that I'm going to have you consider doing is a Zoom meeting. You can do a free 40-minute Zoom meeting and put the live stream URL right there. So let me try to do this. Maybe it's already here. Nope, that's for that one. I'm going to go here to host a meeting, but actually I want to schedule one. So let's see. Because I know I can do it with the app on here. Let's see if I can schedule it this way. So let's see if I can share that. Can you see that my screen here that shows the Zoom information on it? Yes. So I'm going to hit the plus sign for schedule a meeting. Can you guys see that? Okay, good. So let's say 306 Embert open house. Okay. I'm going to do it on Sunday the 19th from 11 a.m. And I'm only going to do it for 30 minutes. Okay. Recommend that you generate it automatically. I'm not going to worry about a password. Just better security that you aren't using the same meeting ID all the time. If you want them to only be able to join by computer, you'd put computer audio. You don't want people calling in, but that's up to you. Under advanced options, if you don't want them to join before you, then you can enable the waiting room, and then you have to let people into it. So you've got different options. I wouldn't automatically record it. But if they join before you, sort of like John did before me, there's nothing for them to see until you actually launch it. So you may want to have them be in a waiting room, and then you have to let them in. But I would, if you do this, play with it. Set up a meeting with someone else, one of your kids or somebody else in your family. See how the waiting room works, etc. And I'm going to hit schedule. For me, I have it tied to my Outlook calendar, so it's going to bring up and put something in my calendar. So it's thinking. So right here on Embert Open House, I can hit show meeting invitation, and there's my link. Right there. Do you see that? No? Let's try new share. Let's see where I can get to there. Now can you see it? There's a link right there. No, you can't. Sorry, I'm trying. Anyway, there's a link that it comes up in the invitation for the Zoom meeting, and I can actually just even copy it. So let me go back to Paragon. If I can find that tab that I have open. Just a minute. Okay. So you can see that one. So I would probably first, you're not going to see this for a minute, but I'm going to paste what it brought me into a Word document or something like that. You're not going to, hold on, after I do this, you might be able to see what I'm doing. Let me share this. So I just pasted what I copied from the invitation in here, and there's the link to the Zoom meeting. You guys can see that now. So I'm going to copy that, go back to Paragon and put that URL in there. And that's the link for the open house. And now I have to set it the same time. It's going to be 11 o'clock to 11:30 and 20 comments, and then save it. I'm not going to save this because I'm not really doing it. Okay. Then when you are having it, just like I am doing for you guys, you would start your meeting. And in that case, I would probably bring up a PowerPoint or something like that of the listing. And you could go through, tell them about the different rooms, those kind of things. You could have a video saved on your computer that you can save. The best thing about saving something, or the best way I found, is already have it open on your computer and then you can share it. So anything I already have open, if I click new share, I can bring up anything. I'll just bring up this Word document. I can bring up anything and you can see it. So if it was a video, if it's a link, if it was a website, whatever that is, I could then host that during my meeting and you could chat with the people and talk to them about your open house. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you all. Questions?
I like that idea. Because you don't have to physically be at the house
Correct.
using a PowerPoint.
Yeah, if I had a PowerPoint brought up here, I could be going, that's how I'm teaching, you know, some of the new agents on those Friday classes. I have a PowerPoint brought up going through those slides and they can see everything I'm showing them by sharing my screen.
Could you use, like, have Paragon open and just make your pictures big and be able to just click through them?
Yeah, so I'm sharing Paragon right now. So if I went back here and went to my listing,
Yep.
and I could say view full image. Can you see that now?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys could do it that way.
My only thing with that is this is what they've already seen. They've already scrubbed through the pictures.
Right.
So we're not really giving them anything more on a virtual thing like that unless you're right, you know, and just showing them pictures. Maybe you can answer questions or whatever, but, you know, depending on your photo quality and, you know, what kind of lens they use, the room could appear bigger than what it was. And
Your other option, and again, then you'd have to physically be there. I'll show you one more option. And I don't know why I didn't get the text from MLS unless I shut something down too long. But I bought a program that was cheap called 360 mirroring 360. And that's how I'm sharing my phone so you guys can see it. So I'm going to click on that and share my phone and do a new share to you guys. You can see my phone now, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So if I went to my camera, I could walk around. If I wanted to be physically present at that house, talk about it, zoom in on something, you know, here's a great window, you know, it's recently replaced, lots of hearts. But
I like that better.
But then
Okay.
you're going to want to hold it on a tripod or something and be physically at the house. But you could walk around and say, this is going to be my tour of the house. And if somebody asks you a question, let's go back to that room. Okay.
I wonder, can you put it on an iPad? If you
Probably. I didn't check. I just did it with my phone because so many times seeing in training how I want to share apps with the students to show them the apps that we're using in real estate and stuff. And when you're live, I can do it easier. So I researched and found this one, and it seems to be working just fine. It was like 12 bucks
Okay.
to be able to share your. Now, if you guys have Macs, I think you can share that easier. But see, I'm going around.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, that's through Zoom, so you could have, like, I can see you guys over on my left, your pictures. If you were to bring up a chat or something like that, I could see that too. Okay,
Thank you. That is better.
just want to give you options. So I stopped all my sharing. I think that's it for today. I'm going to stop the recording if you want to say something.